everybody, welcome back to another session of the Hopry. My name is Mark Starr, and tonight I got my buddy Tim over here to share a beer with me. How's it going, bud?
It's good, man. I'm actually happy to finally be over here to help rid you of some of your collection.
Me too. And you know, the thing is that I've got a lot of beers in my collection that, you know, I don't want to drink by myself, because drinking beer by yourself is kind of one of the cardinal sins to me. So really glad you could come over. So tonight I thought what we would drink is the old Rasputin 12th anniversary beer. And what they do every year, this is from North Coast Brewing Company. They're out of Fort Bragg, California. And they're kind of in between, you know, San Francisco and Oregon, somewhere up in that northern part of California. But they set aside some of their old Rasputin beer every year. They age it in bourbon barrels, and it's supposed to be all kinds of goodness. So, you know, Tim works down at the Boulevard Brewing Company, gives tours on weekends, and I know they've got some barrels, you know, down in there. So what are they doing with those, and can you kind of maybe explain what the barrel process is?
Absolutely, Mike.
And I'll actually go ahead and start pouring it while you speak. Is that cool?
Have at it. That gives me, you know,
all right,
some sidebar to look at, because
educate the peoples.
God knows I'm not all that pretty to look at. So while Mark is opening this bottle, when somebody's going to actually age a barrel age a beer in a bourbon barrel, they're looking for a couple of different things. They're actually going to be looking for a little bit of the spirit that was actually aged in that barrel. Unfortunately, to the distillers, well, they can actually only use a barrel once and legally call it the spirit that they're going to call it. That actually creates quite the conundrum for brewers. We have lots of glorious barrels to use, and the brewers really are able to do a lot of stuff with it. Now, when it comes to the case of a bourbon barrel, what they're going to do is you're going to look for a little bit of sweetness that's going to come from the barrel. It's going to mellow that beer out. It's going to give a little bit of the bourbon quality from the spirit that was in it. It's going to give some additional color. It's going to give that flavor, and ultimately it's just going to add in an overall smoother product, more intense product, if that's what you're looking for as far as the flavor. It just really is going to add a lot to a beer that you're not going to get out of just regular aging.
And so the normal flavors that come out of bourbon barrels, because they're usually oak, is what? Like vanilla?
You're going to get vanilla, oak.
Yeah.
You're going to get, you know, depending on what it is, you're going to get some clove, and of course you're going to get the spirit that it was aged in.
Cool. Well, you know, I can tell just by looking at this one up at the light, it is pretty black, which, you know, for an Imperial Stout is a pretty traditional color. So
yep.
It's black, right? Like, I think you could actually dip a pen in this and, you know, write a love note or something. But,
actually, if I spilled it on your carpet, I'd imagine you'd not be happy with me right now.
Yeah, you may not be able to come back over and share my Lost Abbey beers with me.
God knows that's what I'm looking to do.
Well, we'll definitely have you back over. I know we've got a consecration that we've had on the docket now for, what, about 5 years? So
yeah, almost.
Maybe we'll open that. But so anyway, definitely black, getting a lot of that traditional, you know, light tan colored head on it. And I would say, you know, it's fairly tight. It's not the tightest amount of head that I've seen. I'm going to give it just a little bit of swirl here just to kind of see what comes out. But yeah, I think pretty traditional amount. And actually for me, I don't know about you, but this gets, I think, a little bit more head than I'm used to on a traditional beer that's been aged in barrels. For me, barrels and stronger alcohol seem to kind of dilute the head a little bit.
It can absolutely decrease the overall amount of head retention you're able to get. The more viscous a beer, usually more thick, the more alcohol that's in a beer, the more difficult of a time you're going to have working something out. But the nice thing is a beer like this, it's got enough barrel conditioning to it, and it's got enough secondary fermentation to it that it's going to give you a little bit to work with. And they've got about the right amount to work with on a glass. It's sticking to it just about right.
Yeah. I wonder what it smells like.
Well, I can actually already smell it.
I can smell it too, but what do you say we get our nose way down in there?
Why don't we, sir?
Let's do it. You know, this really smells a lot like the Bourbon County Stout to me.
Yeah, but you're going to hate me, because the first thing I don't smell out of this is it's not just bourbon. I'm actually getting other things out of this. I'm getting vanilla out of this immediately. A
lot of vanilla. And you know, to be fair, the last Bourbon County Stout that I reviewed was not too long ago, and it was from 2007, so it kind of had a chance to really die down a little bit. But, you know, I don't feel the vapors from the alcohol burning my eyes, which is really good.
There's a lot of vanilla in this, and you've got to understand that the barrels are going to add to that just simply because of what they do, you know, and that's what you're going to get in a lot of the time when you're actually making just generally a bourbon, is you're going to get some of those bourbon qualities, you're going to get some of those vanilla qualities, and that's just going to impart in this, and that's just natural to the style, and it really carries through very nicely with this.
We know, like Andy Hagen says, if it smells good, it probably tastes good. So maybe we should give it a spin. What do you think?
Indeed, we should.
Cheers, brother.
To you.
Wow.
Not bad.
That's pretty damn tasty.
It is. It's very nice. It's very light. Somebody would expect from a beer this dark that normally it's going to be heavy. It's going to be frightening, but it's really not. It's one of the frankly, one of the lightest beers that I've had in a while.
Of this size,
of this magnitude, when it's had a color of this, you know, and a viscosity of this, it really is quite pleasant to drink.
And you know, I know a lot of people really love the Bourbon County Stout, and I'm not even going to lie, I think it's a great beer.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be completely honest with you, pound for pound, I think this one just eats its lunch.
Yeah, the Bourbon County Stout's actually a little bit painful at times if you're not ready for it. This one eases you into that. It definitely gives you that bourbon barrel aging quality without just punching you in the face with it, which can happen so often.
This might be a bit of a stretch too, but I'll be honest with you, it has a more oaky flavor than the Creme Brulee Stout from Southern Tier, but I'm really reminded of the Southern Tier Creme Brulee Stout because there's almost so much vanilla in this that it really kind of reminds me of how that the Southern Tier Creme Brulee really has that caramely, roasty chocolate, you know, burnt sugar, vanilla sort of taste to it. I'm really liking this one a lot.
And as Mark takes another drink, there's one other one that I'd like to throw out there if any of you have had it. It's a beer by New Holland. It's called Dragon's Milk. It has a very similar approach as Dragon's Milk has. Now, again, keep in mind Dragon's Milk isn't a stout, so it's not going to be initially this strong on the you know, on the color and on this taste standpoint. But it's got a lot of similar properties to it, and it's a pretty solid beer. It's coming through okay.
Yeah, this is a good time for me. This is probably one of the better stouts I've reviewed on the show since I did the Péché Mortel at the end of last year. I think really that you know, what makes this so great is that it has all those flavors that people want from a bourbon barrel aged stout. And as flavorful as it is, it's so subtle at the same time. I mean, I think the balance and the coffee and the chocolate and the vanilla and the alcohol and the sweetness and the bitterness, I mean,
it's pretty much hitting about on all fronts.
It's nice.
It's a very well-balanced Imperial Stout. I've got to tell you, and to be completely honest, it's hanging on to a nice head that I wasn't expecting, and I haven't had to work at it very much. And as dirty as that sounds, it makes for a wonderful beer.
I hear you. So, well, I'll tell you what, guys. We're going to sit here and finish the rest of this bottle. And Tim, thanks a lot for coming over and sharing a good beer with me. It's always nice to, you know, have people over people who really appreciate good beers. And, you know, I know the people who watch this show are always looking for, you know, good beers to go out and find themselves. But anyway, if you're following me on Twitter, you can go to twitter.com/thehopry. And my name is Mark Starr. And we'll see you later. Cheers.